Welcome to Cooking with Frankie Meatball. Today, my kitchen's going to be rocking because we're going to rock you. Right back. We're going to make Pizza Parlor Dough, and we're going to make the Black Sabbath Pizza. And you're going to hear all about the amazing stories of an average guy meeting the godfather of heavy metal. How was that for Big Daddy Frank rocking you on Cooking with Frankie Meatball, huh? How was that? How's it feel to be on Cooking with Frankie Meatball, Big Daddy Frank?
Just kidding, folks.
So anyway, we're gonna make a Black Sabbath pizza, but before we get to that Black Sabbath pizza, we gotta make our dough. Okay? We're gonna use a KitchenAid. If you don't have a KitchenAid, you could buy dough, pre-made dough at ShopRite, or go to your favorite pizza store and say, hey, I want to make a Black Sabbath pizza because I saw it on Frankie Meatball. Can I buy some dough off you? So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to start with a KitchenAid. If you got one, you want to grease up the bowl. Grease up your dough hook. And while we're doing that, Big Daddy Frank had the pleasure when he was a teenager coming into contact with Black Sabbath. I'm sure he'd like to share some of those stories. I know, but they don't know. How did you come across just talking to him? How did it all happen?
I got a job at the Spectrum. Now, I'm not too sure if I was 15 or 16, but I don't even think them days anybody even checked. So, Sabbath wound up coming. They were second in line. It was Humble Pie, Black Sabbath, and Mountain with Leslie West. And,
they weren't even headlining.
No, they weren't headliner. Matter of fact, I think that night, no, that was another time. We set up at the Spectrum and everything else. So I have access to all the, dressing rooms and everything. So I'm walking by the hall, and I got a friend with me, my drummer, long life friend, Johnny Zerka. You know Zerka? And here's Wyoming standing right out there. I don't have to barge in, so oops, I got the wrong room or whatever. And here he is, he's standing outside, and I went up to him and says, I had a million things I wanted to tell you because I wanted to meet you. I was a little kid, 15. They says, get your thoughts together. After the show, we have a little party. I don't know, it was 15th floor, 18th floor at the Hilton. Be our guest. And then, you know what you want to talk to Tony about, then you can talk to him. So, it was the end of the night, the concert was over, the boss says, you going to work? I says, yeah, I quit. That's all I wanted that job for. We're at the party and everything else. Tony wasn't there.
Yeah, no show.
we were with Ozzy.
Ozzy,
yeah, with Ozzy and Geezer. And matter of fact, I think Humble Pie was involved. And pizza, friends, and it wasn't as wild as you hear how these parties are. It wasn't that tame.
It wasn't Motley Crue.
but this was the beginning of the beginning. So we're wondering, me and my friend, we're wondering, are we going to get to see him? Here's Ozzy, this and that. We're talking that. Fine, but I wanted to see Tony. I had this connection. I wanted to get it out. So it was about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. don't know if it was the manager or somebody. We wind up sleeping at the hotel. Tony,
sleeping or passing out, you know what I'm saying?
I think we just dozed off, maybe about 4:30, 5 o'clock, and we went to we slept. Not really. It was kind of like that. Kind of came too far. I let this go down the drain. We get a little note. We wrote, Tony, you told me to come to a party. You didn't show up. We're 2 doors from you. We were invited. We stood over. Really want to talk to you. Frank. Signed it, Frank. Got the note. Stuck it under his door. Called back in an hour. Knocked on the door. Tony comes to the door. He says, give me 20 minutes and call me from the phone. Fine. 20 minutes. Call him. Me and my friend Johnny Zerka. We go in. We had a camera. It's a good thing we had a camera because nobody would have believed it. And we started talking. Oh, he didn't like this guitar. I didn't like this amp. I'm talking about all different things. And he kind of straightened me out on a few things. It wasn't as wild as it looks. And my edges were a lot rough at 15, 16. He kind of calmed me down and says, life ain't that way. We don't know what they go through, especially in the beginning. Could have been really tired. The last city might have knocked him out. Right. So he had to take care of himself. But anyway, we talked about movies. He told me what his best movie was. But the guy was great. All these years, the connection was bang, bang, bang.
And every time he comes to Philly, he looks him up. And we'll get to that a little later. But let's start this dough.
Because this will be a long story.
So for your dough, we're going to use unbleached flour. Okay, you could use any unbleached flour. My 2 favorites to use is either King Arthur's or Pillsbury. Pillsbury, a lot of pizza places use Pillsbury. So you want to get some unbleached flour, a 1/4 cup of sugar. We're going to use the eggs and the yolks, a tablespoon of olive oil, a teaspoon of kosher salt, an ounce of baker's yeast, or you could use a packet. I recommend baker's yeast. Again, guys, you know how I am. The fresher it is, the better it is. So if you got baker's yeast, you could go to your local bakery that bakes the rolls. Ask them if you could buy a block of baker's yeast. And to get an ounce, you really don't have to measure it. I just go buy like it looks like one of those little super balls that you get out of a bubblegum machine. Okay, you're going to mix this down with a cup of hot water, not too hot, because if the water's too hot, it's going to kill your yeast. And then we got 2 cups of warm water. First thing you want to do is put the sugar in, the 2 eggs, the olive oil, a teaspoon of kosher salt. Now you want to get a fork and mix it together. Kind of like scramble it around. Just so that the sugar and everything just mixes together. You want to get your 2 cups of water. Just pour that in. Make sure it's warm water, not cold. Room temperature, whatever you want to call it. Alright. Then you just want to put it on stir. Alright, so we got our hot water, not too hot. You got our yeast. Just break it up into pieces like this. You could come and see how it's broken up and it's starting to dissolve. As soon as it hits that water, you get your fork and just kind of scramble it, push it down. Just see how it's dissolving in the water. It doesn't all have to be mixed, but you want to get the majority of it mixed. And then just shut your mixer off. Pour that in. Now, it's time to put the flour in. So, pretty much what you want to do, you don't want to just throw it all in. Just use your scooper. Just put a scoop in at a time. Let it mix. Remember when we made the cake, you just don't want to throw it all in. It's going to be one big mess. You want to throw some in, let it mix. Throw some more in, let it mix. You want to make sure it's not too lumpy when you throw the next stuff in. One day, I come home from school with Damien, and we had a couple girls with us, and we planned to go out and hang out. And we're chilling in the house, and my dad comes home, and he's like, "What are you doing tonight?" I'm like, "Oh, we're going out." He's like, "No, you're not." I'm like, "Yes, I am." He's like, "No, we're going to see Dio." He's like, I got us backstage passes, after the show passes. We got free tickets." He goes, "We're going to the show." I'm like, "Nah, I don't want to go." I didn't think he, I thought he was just talking. So he's trying to talk me into going, and I'm like, "Nah, I don't want to go." So he turns to Damien, he's like, "Damien, you want to go?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll go." So he came that close to taking Damien. But anyway, so he takes us, we drive up here, we go up to the window, and we get the tickets. This was at the Tower Theater. You remember this? We go up to the window, and he says, "Frank Scuderi, there's an envelope for me." And the lady's looking through the envelope, so I'm like, "All right." I was like, "Dad, don't worry, I'll buy the tickets." And she pulls out an envelope, she goes, "Okay, here, this is for you." He pulls out tickets, 2 after-show passes, a backstage pass for him, and I was just like, huh? Like, this dude's really actually legit. He's telling the truth over here. Like, even all these years, with the pictures and this and that, I still was like, yeah, okay. And that was a nice little night. And after the show, it was Strange Highways tour. After the show, we're all waiting for Dio to come out. Dude, he walks out. First thing he says, he sees my dad. He's like, "Yo, where's your boy?" I was like, "Here I am." Talking about being starstruck, and that's pretty much it. I was like, wow, this dude's like really legit. Just gonna let that final mix up, and we're gonna take it out, knead it a little bit, and I'll show you what to do with it. We're gonna take the dough out of the mixer. What I like to do is, you got a rubber spat, spray some cooking spray on that so it don't stick, and just take it off. We're gonna take it off there, nice and nice.
I'm wondering how you evolved.
So, we'll do that nice and clean. That's how it should be when you take it out.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Nice and clean. So, just want to knead it before we let it rest. And make sure it's nice and mixed. This feels nice and tight. Like I said, it's like kind of tight, but not too tight. It's nice to roll it out. I could have took this out way before I did, but I want a nice tight dough. Take a nice size bowl. Spray it with some cooking spray. Grab your dough, shake some of the flour off. Throw it in, push it down, flop it around, push it down. And then you could either do one or two things to make it rest. You could wet a towel, squeeze it out, lay it over, and just put it on a kitchen counter. It needs 2 hours to rise. Or you could get one of the ShopRite bags, which I like to do. Make sure you open a ShopRite bag, spray it, put it around, tie it, leave it on the counter. After you put your olive oil in, dump your spinach in. Put some 2 cloves of garlic on top. I hit it with just a little more olive oil, some pepper, and some salt. Your spinach is sauteed. Shut the flame off. And we're going to leave it to the side. Let it cool off. So now dough's ready, we're going to roll it out. While we're rolling it out, we're going to tell you why one of the pizzas we make are going to be a Black Sabbath pizza. Yeah, you want to take over?
He says, is there any dough left from the other night? I said, yeah. He says, why don't you make a pizzazz pizza? I says, okay, you cut the tomatoes, and, we'll
1 second. So, keep in mind that it was the day after my birthday. We partied the night before, and then that day, I just got back from Ben Salem Racetrack with our BMX bikes, riding around all day, falling and stuff like that. So I'm kind of like a little out of its range. You know what I mean? Continue. I just had to put it in perspective.
So he starts cutting the tomatoes. I'm getting all the stuff ready. Everything's going along. We're putting the whole thing together. And it was the pizzazz pizza. So the phone rings. So I says, Frank, go get the phone.
So I get the phone. Now at the time he was working with this college band, and one of the members of the college band, he was he was an Arab. So so me all beaten down from partying and riding bikes. I'm like, hello, and I couldn't understand this guy. So I thought it was the Arab guy. So I'm like, who is this? What do you want? Like that. And all I hear is Frank there? This is Tony home? And I'm like, what? I was talking to Damien too, and I'm like, hold on. I'm like, no, wait, don't hold on. Hey, Dad, it's Tony from around the corner.
I holler from the kitchen. I said, Tony who? So I wipe my head. Frank, just Frank? Yeah, that's Frank. He says, Frank, it's Tony Iommi. I says, oh, Tony. And I'm looking at Frankie, and Frankie's like, he had that face like, I don't know. So I realized why he had that face. This is how the Black Sabbath pizza originated, okay? We were making the pizzazz pizza. Tony calls. He answered, went all through this, and he said something to me. I don't know if you remember this or not, right? Tony Iommi called our house. I picked the phone up. I talked to Tony Iommi.
The godfather of heavy metal. Calling the house. Forget about it.
And I just talked to Frankie recently. I told him I was making a pizzazz pizza. So he says, the Tony Iommi Black Sabbath pizza. And I says, what do you mean? He says, every time I make a pizzazz pizza, or I think of it, I think of Tony, I think of Black Sabbath. And I says,
that's why we call it the Black Sabbath pizza.
And that's just for starters. And so did I.
One of these days, Alice.
If my wife Trixie's watching, she says I told you so. When I get home, I'm going to put you right in the mouth. Why?
He likes to roll it up, you know what I mean?
I like to roll the dough up, but I want to finish the little story. So, the Wyoming thing, the pizza, and we officially calls it the Black Sabbath pizza. Because anytime we make one of these, Frank, who is it? And that's the story of that.
Is Frank there? This is Donny Iommi. He's going to share the recipe of the Black Sabbath pizza.
All rolled out. We should be pretty safe. We're going to round it off. And now we're going to start. There's two ways to do this. You can get some olive oil, throw the olive oil on. And that's a little messy. You can just roll it in with your hand. This is what I like to do. I use a can of olive oil spray. And I just give it a little douse here and there. Okay. Now, I'll get a little bit of onion powder, 1, 2, 3. A little bit of garlic powder, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now we got that going. Okay. Now we're going to get American cheese over here. We got it pre-sliced. Now we're going to just lay that down. We're going to cover it up. I'm going to just cover it up all the way around. We're going to do a little bit more olive oil. Just take a, watch this. Bing, bing, bing. Now I'm going to put a little butter for just a little flavor. I say that might be greasy. Okay, so now I'm going to get a little bit of cheese where we're going to get the flavor of the butter and the olive oil, but we're not going to get all the grease. Put the cheese. We're going to wrap it around a little bit. Let the cheese bite. A little bit of black pepper and a little bit of salt. I just put that for a foundation. Now we're going to start with the tomatoes. Generally, 1 tomato on every slice. Dance with it. Just go all the way around. Finish up with the tomatoes. Okay, let me see. All right, now we're going to get a little bit of minced garlic. The reason why we ain't doing fresh, because it has a flavor of its own in the sauce that it is. We get a little bit of that garlic, we bring it around. Just throw it around. Maybe just a little more, a pinch more. All right, now we got that. You know what we laid on the bottom, we're going to do one more time. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Right? A little bit more pepper. A little bit more salt. Okay, bang. I want to put a little bit of oregano on it. A little spinach. The spinach was already cooked, right? I drained a little bit of the extra olive oil off it. I want to just pat it a little more. I want it a little dry because this is all going to make moisture. And the drier we got it, and when you cook it, all the moisture comes out of the tomatoes and the spinach, what's left. Now, if you think the spinach is still a little too wet, put a little cheese in there. That'll take care of some of the moisture that's in there. Mild banana peppers, and these are cherry hots. Okay, Frankie cut them in strips like that, that's fine. My personal preference will be, I'm going to do whatever I want when I do it. I put some on there, maybe I'll put just a little bit on there. The way I want it is the way I'm going to make it. I like it just about right. I don't want it too hot because I want to taste everything and I want to enjoy everything. If I'm in a hotter mood, or if you have people that like a lot of hots, Frankie said in the other show, use jalapeno, but I call them japinos because they taste better that way. We're going to put this gives you a little bit of extra flavor. We're just going to just break it up, throw it as I want. Look, I can even throw big pieces. I'm just going all over the place.
Kicking it up, guys.
We're kicking it up. Maybe 2 or 3 steps.
2 or 3 steps.
Well,
kick it up.
Since we're going to do 2 or 3 steps.
Big Daddy Frank is going to kick it
Since
up.
we're going to do it 2 or 3 steps, we're going to put just a little more because I want it on the tomatoes. A little bit more oregano. Okay? Now I'm looking at that. You know what? A little pinch of garlic here and there. Just a little more. Now I'm ready. Okay? Here's the spinach. Now, if it seems a little wet, just give it a little squeeze. Guess what? It's fine. I'm putting the spinach in between the tomatoes and the peppers. And one of the reasons why I've done this in the past is that you don't want the peppers to be too hot. You want something to neutralize it. And for some reason, it does neutralize it a little bit, and it gives it an extra taste. It gives it an extra bite.
Oh, what are you, marrying her?
Pronounce them man and wife. If you're home and you're doing this yourself, if you want to take extra time and get a little bit of here and a little bit over there and a little bit over there and a little bit over there, and hey, look. Pronounce it man and wife. You give it to, how'd you do that? He does that good. I love when he does that. Munster cheese. How much? I don't know. I can only tell the way it looks. I'm going to cover it. I'm going to cover it. I'm going to tell you something I found out about these bowls. I thought it was just hype. You know what? This is the first time I'm seeing these bowls, and they feel good in your hand. Don't feel like an average bowl. When you lay that cheese, and I'm grabbing that cheese, it's got like a depth to it. It's not plain flat. That's a pretty good idea. The way you could just dig right into it. mozzarella, however you want to say it, it's mozzarella. Hey, a nice mustache.
I must look like Frankie Meatball with the mustache, huh?
No, I don't know. You know what I thought you were? I thought you were that Play-Doh man. Alright, I'm just going to get this. Go around in a circle, meet in the middle, come around again, spread it out a little bit. A little more, not too much more, you'll be chewing all your life. I just want to get some around the edges. Guess what? We're almost there. Almost there. I take pride in these things. Whenever you take pride in these things, you gotta marry it. You gotta call it man and wife.
You gotta do it from the heart, guys. Put our oven on 500 and let it preheat on 500 and get that stone nice and hot.
This is it. The pizzazz. Ready to go, Frank.
All right, here we go. We get that oven open. So we're gonna throw it right on the stone. All right, it's been about close to about 10 minutes. What we're going to do is we're going to take it off the screen, let it finish cooking on the stone. So let's take a peek at that and see what it looks like. Very nice, huh? Very nice. So what we're going to do is just slide the pizza peel underneath the pizza. All right, pull that screen out, and we're going to throw it on there. Really nice. If you want to take a look, peek underneath. We'll probably give that another 5 minutes just to crust up on the bottom. It's ready to come out.
All pizzas seem to sweat because you got combinations of cheeses, and like how I made everything, trying to make it dry. This is the best way to do it because you'll have oil. This could be the olive oil or the cheese olive oil, or the cheese. You pat it down. You pat it down a little bit. Now this kind of pizza is not to be eaten really hot. It needs to lay down for about maybe say 5 to 10 minutes, cool off, because that spinach could get really hot with them tomatoes, even though it seems like it's cooled off. This is the oil you don't want. I always say it that way. So here it is, it's ready to cut. You want me to cut it or you cut it?
Do the honors.
This is this is the raw, I'd say raw thumb. I cut it right down the middle, half. Make sure you separate it, okay? Now I cut it in quarters. Okay. Now, see how you got these slices? Real simple. Watch. One. Okay, one. One. One.
You hear that crunch when he's going through the pizza? That's what you want. On the bottom, look at that nice color on the bottom. Nice, it's crunchy, it holds up.
I got Captain Crunch Pizza.
So, what I was saying about the pizza, when you got a lot of stuff on it, you want to make it a little bit thick so it can hold up. Because if this pizza was any thinner, it would just, you wouldn't be able to eat it. It would just be one big slop mess. So we'll put a piece here. I'm going to taste. You want to taste?
Yeah.
You get the taste of the American cheese on the bottom, the tomato with the pepper, the spinach. Oh, really good. Very nice. Very nice.
Works for me every time. Not your ordinary pizza, but it's a pizza worth making.
Enjoy this recipe. Enjoy the dough recipe. You can make pepperoni, spinach. But whatever you do, keep it fresh.